Hello, Anshuman. Thanks for joining the call. How are you doing today?
Hi, Arti. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, all good. Doing nice.
Perfect. So, first of all, congratulations on your fantastic GMAT score of 685. How does it feel to have achieved this score?
Uh, to be honest, I expected to score a lot more. Once you take up the top 1% program, you wanna breach the 715 score. But yeah, I'm kind of happy, with the amount of time that I had, 2 months to sort of go out and get a GMAT score. I'm happy to get a 685 with that, shorter time limit.
Great. As you mentioned, given that you had 60 days in hand, 685 is a great score to have. Um,
Yeah.
it's truly an inspiration for people who have been in this process for a while, that it's also possible to sort of have a dedicated 2 months practice and still get something as high as 685, right? So, can you tell us about yourself and how you began your MBA journey and how was it like before you joined Top 1%?
Sure, sure. So, I was part of equity trading. I was in middle office at Goldman Sachs. It's an investment bank in Bangalore. I was doing quite well, to be honest, at work. But it felt a little less challenging, and I kind of felt that I wanted to transition into more front end and more advisory roles, right? And that's why I decided to go for the GMAT. I've actually written GMAT once before as well, in 2020. That was not the focus edition of the old edition. And before that, before joining Top 1%, I wrote another attempt where I again got 645. So I was kind of stuck at that 645 mark, you know. And actually, people don't realize it's quite tricky to go above. I felt like, and that's why Sandeep Sir's full content, especially Octave, that really helped out. Because I think it's just my opinion. I feel like if anybody wants to score beyond 645 in the focus edition or like go ahead, you have to get the verbal thing down. You
Right.
know, because in India, most people have the math sorted, right? Because we've been sort of asked to do a lot of sums and all from school, and most people study maths till 12th. But it's just the, critical reasoning and reading comprehension. That's not something that we're quite used to, especially after school, because colleges generally make you just read from presentations and all that. So I think that really helped a lot, that dedicated sort of a, 3 hour, 4 hour video that you used to watch and basically you understood how to apply Octave. That really helped me, sort of go beyond 645.
Perfect. Actually, I was going to deep dive into your prep in the next question, but you've already elaborated enough. But just to know more about what your prep journey was like, what
Yeah.
strategies, resources, any specific material that you found to be the most effective? You had already mentioned that you were stuck in a band. So, what do you
Yeah.
think very crucially helped you move beyond that range and achieve your 685?
I think people just need to solve the 700 to 800 question bank that
Mhm.
is given, right? Because a lot of the times, right, and I won't take names, but I've taken other coaching preps as well before I came top 1%. And the major problem with other coaching centers is that, it's a gradual sort of a slope. Like they'll give you easier questions and then you come to 700, 800 questions. With here, with 1%, what I liked was from the get-go, right? As soon as my concept videos were over, I was practicing 700 to 800. In fact, I was doing them while I was doing my classes as well,
Right.
right? And I think once you get used to that level of, that high level of questions, you don't really have a problem attempting the easier ones. And also, what people don't realize is actually what I felt was, the questions that I was earlier practicing before I came to top 1% versus what was coming in the exam, there seemed a huge gap, right? Even in the mocks, right, it was still fine. I was able to score 655, 665, thereabouts, but there was no consistency. And then when you come to the exam day, it feels quite overwhelming because, when you're giving mocks, you feel that, okay, out of the five answers, maybe I can limit myself to two and I can then maybe try and figure out. But on the exam day, it feels like all five are correct, right? So there needs to be some sort of a process around it. And in terms of my preparation, to be honest, I just, dove deep because I had a lot of time. I wasn't working when I was preparing. So I could devote 10 hours, 9 to 10 hours a day to the preparation. And I took the self-study course, so I think that gave me a lot of sort of help and a lot of flexibility as to when I can do it. But in terms of my materials, I didn't use anything other than the top 1% material. The videos are quite exhaustive, right? Especially if somebody's going for some basics, right? Like for math and all, it was quite very, very exhaustive. And you don't really need to go out and do more questions. To be very honest, I couldn't complete every question that was given in the module, right, for practice. So there's no, nobody's ever going to feel that there is, there's a plethora of questions, so that's completely fine. But yeah, I think a game changer for me was the octave theory, because I was quite sort of arrogant about my English, and I felt like that's fine, I'll be able to crack it. But it's not really about your grammar, but it's more about how focused and attentive you are during that exam period. And it's quite difficult, and that's why you need a structured process when you're attempting it, and octave really brought that.
Perfect. We're glad to hear that. And a lot of students have this feedback that there's just so much material that's given that at the end of your prep, you still have more to do. Uh, and glad that Octave
Yeah.
helped you. It's also helped a lot of people crack their RC code. That being said, every
Mhm.
journey, be it GMAT or anywhere else, there are a set of hurdles, there are a set of challenges. So if you have to call out your toughest part in your GMAT prep, what would that be? And it would also be helpful to know how you overcame that.
I think the toughest part for me was when I was giving my mocks and when I was giving my exams, there was no consistency as to my scores. So generally, people would want like a upward graph. They start at the bottom, and by the end they're near the desired score. With me, it was a lot of up and down, right? There was like a, you can say, a 10-day period where I was writing my mocks. I would write one or two every day. Uh, I think what I realized was, I was writing too many mocks. I felt, within the first 3, 4 days, I had written around about 8 or 9 of them. I used other test series as well for some more mocks. And that I think then I limited myself to one a day. And it was more about just getting, then I started taking then I started taking it as one question at a time rather than, thinking about what my next score was going to be or how I'm going to do that. I just tried to pace myself, and that helped a lot. To be honest, like the content that Sandeep sir has on top 1%, whether you take the live or the self-help course, it's very, very comprehensive and exhaustive. And there is no reason why anybody cannot score 715, right? Or at least more than, around 685, 675, whatever, with, just by doing the course, right? Like one of the major challenges I used to find was that my critical reasoning sometimes used to be very good, or sometimes I used to get like 3, 4 questions wrong while giving the mocks, right? So the question bank that they have, like the CR question bank, where questions are divided topic wise. I think that's a great start. There are around at least 400, 500 questions of like very high level, and if you do get that down, that's sorted. Another thing is like you need to time yourself. One thing which I used to do was like I used to take section-wise timing. So, for example, if I'm doing verbal, I'll put 45 minutes and I do verbal. But that's not how it works. You need to time yourself for every question. So only when I shifted to, say, if I'm doing 10 questions, I'll put like a 17-minute timer, right? So that every question has a timer. And that's a game changer, because then you don't realize, right? Then if every question, your time's ticking, and then you set time to make a process for each question. Okay, this is how much I'm going to read. This is the time I'll probably need to sort of try and understand. This is the time I'm going to need to sort of eliminate the answers. So yeah, that helped a lot. And maintaining the error log. A lot of the time, especially in reading comprehension, not so much in math, you need to sort of know where you went wrong, right? So that you can maybe reflect on it and introspect on it, like, okay, this is what I need to do to sort of fix it. But yeah, I know, I what was nice was this, Top gave us the whole format of the error logs. All you had to do was just fill in the data and maintain that. So that was really a game changer. Yeah, that helped a lot.
That's lovely to hear. The next question is along the lines of you mentioning that you had invested 10 to 12 hours in prep. A lot of
Yeah.
people keep saying this who have cracked the GMAT score, they keep saying this that it's not about quant, verbal, or DI, it's more about hard work, time management, and consistency, which a lot of students struggle. Even if they have time in hand, they take a lot of struggles to invest those many hours into the prep. They're not able to do things in a single sitting. They also lack consistency. But I'm sure you've cracked that code. You were able to invest that amount of time, and you were able to consistently do that, right? So, what were your strategies to do these long sittings every day through different sections? Could you share more about how you cracked the consistency code?
Yeah, sure. To be very honest, like I did not have a target of 685. I wanted 725.
Mhm.
So uh, I knew how many questions I can go wrong at, if I wanted to get 725, and that really kept pushing me forward. When it comes to spending time, I think it's about the sort of how do you say, the efficiency that you want, right? Somebody could be happy with, getting two or three wrong, and but like I wanted to go a level ahead, even though I didn't get it, even though I got 685, could not be 750. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's a very personal thing, right? I mean, I can, it's you. I just have the same things to say, right? You have to do it. There is no other option, right? Otherwise, consistency also helps. It's not, see, I took 10 hours. It's not that somebody else is going to take 10 hours too, right? But yeah, I think what's key is that it was every day. There was not, for 60 days, there was not even a single day where I did not put efforts, into my GMAT prep. So maybe more than 10 hours or 12 hours a day, it's more about spending some time, spending 2 to 3 hours a day. Keep sort of a track, of where you are, like keep measuring your progress. That's what I used to do, right? Like, for example, if on a particular day I've done 30 questions and I got 20 of them right, I would make sure that tomorrow when I do some questions, I need to get more than 20, like no matter what, right? So I tried really hard to keep my progress towards an upward trajectory. And that's what helped. And then if anybody's lacking motivation after that, you can watch KTW videos, right? You can watch Sandeep sir in action, because he really put it in my mind, to be very honest, that you need to aim higher, right? That is how you sort of get yourself into that excellency wala mode. That's where you need know that it's not just about getting a good score, it's about getting the best score out there. And that really helps. I took the self-help course, so I was able to see the recorded videos of folks learning, and it was quite interesting, because you could see that people are operating at a higher level, as the classes kept going forward.
Perfect. I think as you correctly mentioned, even for someone who may not have 10, 12 hours to dedicate, even if it's 2, 3 hours of dedicated prep invested time, that's still a good to go, right? Great
Yeah,
advice. And glad that the Katie videos helped. It gives you that sense of motivation and that hunger to do more, especially when you feel
yeah,
like your prep feels stagnant. It's a great watch. Um,
yeah,
my next question is around the mock portal. You've already mentioned a lot about how you used to um, track your progress on the portal, but more on the lines of how you leveraged it, especially during the last fleet of your prep. Was it helpful? How much did you end up exhausting, and how did you like the overall experience as a user of the portal? Plus, in case when you have a question or you're stuck somewhere, did you write to us, get help? How was the response like? More around those lines.
I think I'll answer the latter one first.
Yeah.
Honestly, the team, the top 1% team is amazing. Like you can, when I was taking the self-help course, one of the major sort of issues I had was like, if I write to them, how long will it take to respond back, and how will the whole doubt solving process happen? But honestly, like there have been times where I've written an email at 12:30 in the night, and I've gone to sleep, and I've woken up at 7:30 a.m. and I have the response. There
Right.
have been times when I've written an email at 12:30 in the afternoon, and by the time I finish my lunch, within 2, 3 hours, I've had a response. So, there is no, lack of effort from top's side. Their team is always there to sort of guide you and, get the process behind and, get behind you in the process. And, I've even sort of, emailed Sandeep sir, and he was also so responsive, when it came to sort of solving queries. And the mock portal, I was able to exhaust all of my sectional exams and my full exams. There were certain topic-based exams which I couldn't do. I felt, because I was doing all the
Yeah.
ECT long runs and all of that. But I think what's really great about the portal is that they have a PDF solution for each and every answer, right? Because generally in other centers, what happens is you do the portal and you have to come on a call with your professor and get into like a one-on-one and discuss, right? Which is also great, but sometimes you don't need that, right? Sometimes because the solution is so detailed that the top gives, you can just read out the solution and okay, this is where I went wrong. And even after that, if you have a doubt, you can just basically put up a screenshot of the solution and the question and send it to top 1% and just basically ask for doubt, and you get a response in another hour and a half. So I think the sheer number of portals that were there, mocks that were there on the portal, it really helps help you gauge your progress as you move forward, and B, it's a very great leveler to sort of tell you where you're at, because I'll be honest, I still remember when I used to practice questions when I was writing for my first attempt versus when I used to do the GMAT mocks that they gave. I used to feel a level difference, right? I used to feel these are tougher questions, that I haven't practiced like that. But once I completed mock series of top, instantly I had more confidence when I was giving the exam, the GMAT mock portal exams, right? For like, to give you a sense, like when I was in my first attempt, I used to get scores 615, 625, 35, 45, 55, 65. When I started after my top series, mock series were top, I was I was starting at 675, 85, 705, 35, etc. So there's clearly it's clearly a level up, is in my opinion. And there is no way any student is not going to, improve on their earlier scores when they take top. They'll definitely do that, yeah.
Perfect. Great things about the portal and support that I'm sure a lot of people will relate to as well, present as well as students who already have the score in hand. As you look back on the whole process, what is that one advice that you would give to future GMAT aspirants who are just getting started?
Um, I think this was what I also, took. It was like a key takeaway from Sandeep sir's interactions with his classrooms and in his KTW videos. It's a lot of the time we come in with a lot of fire in us, right? Which gets doused very quickly, right after a month or so. Like people tend to get demotivated. And I'll be honest, there was a lot of times where, I was not getting the answers. I'm up at 12:30 in the night and I'm thinking, how am I going to get this, man? But it's really in those situations where you just have to keep going. You need to have a clear-cut target. I booked off my exam as the day I booked off. I booked my exam a week after that because I knew that I work better when it's deadline oriented. So I think it's all about knowing yourself, and it's about maintaining that fire. It's about maintaining that zeal that okay, I am going to do this. This is my target, and this can be done. One of the lines which Sandeep sir said, which is quite interesting, was uh, I was not very great at permutations and combinations, and he said that everybody comes in and they say I'm not good at PNC. They weren't good at PNC in school. They weren't good at PNC in UG. So when are you going to get good at it, right? And that's something that I really took in my study, and I really felt like this is an opportunity. Like when you take top, you have to try and like you will understand that it inspires you because it feels like an opportunity. It doesn't feel like something you have to justify to somebody, to your parents or anybody that I've taken this course, and you get inspired and feels like an opportunity. They equip you with so many tools that when you go out there and when you write the exam, it doesn't feel like an exam. It feels like it's something that it feels like an opportunity and feels like something that's been built for you to do well.
Right. A lot of students have said this, that the whole journey was not just about studying GMAT, but it was an opportunity, as you mentioned, to discover your own self, and you get to know more
Yeah,
about what you're capable of. It pushes you beyond your boundaries, and you really end up becoming a totally different person at the end of the day. Great advice, Anshuman. And finally, now that you have a score in hand, what are your next steps? How are you going to leverage this score professionally as well as academically? And what are you looking at?
so my major shortlists, so I'm not basically going outside because of financial constraints.
Mhm.
So I have an interview with ISB lined up a couple of weeks from now. But I've currently joined SPGMR's PGP, which is like a 1 year course, and it's been going well. But I also want to touch upon this fact that Sandeep sir is very motivational, and you don't really just, as you mentioned, right? You don't really just learn how to score in GMAT. You kind of learn how to face problems. Is what I would really like to say. Like it's not a big statement or anything at all, but what you really learn is that if you have a problem in life, what's your mindset? What your mindset should be when you're approaching that. That's exactly what top teaches you, right? And yeah, I think so. I have this ISB interview lined up, and if it goes well, I might see if I want to switch to ISB or not. But yeah, maybe that's a answer for another call.
Perfect. I think both are amazing schools in India and one of the best places to go if you want to stay and build in India. So, all the best for all your endeavors. I hope the interview goes well, and I'm sure it will. You have a great GMAT score to back your cost to join the college. Thank you so much, Anshuman, for sparing your time. I'm sure someone who's watching this, who's looking to join GMAT through top 1%, or who's already in the prep and who's looking for some motivation or some guidelines on how to go about the prep, they all get benefited. I'm sure you were in this place a few months ago where you must have watched someone share their experience, and now it's a full circle where you are going to help
Yeah.
a lot of people with this conversation. Thank you so much for spending the time. And on behalf of Top 1%, we congratulate you once again on an amazing score and all the best for your future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Aarti. This was lovely connecting. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.